Now, this session, I'm actually going to cover quite a bit of range, starting from a charismatic leader to the traits of the top 1%ers, and a lot more. And in terms of, I'm going to touch base on some of the sides of scaling as well. But let's start with the charismatic leader. Tell me what you like about, okay, Muzzy, I can see you on the screen, so let me ask you this, right? Who is the one person that really, seriously inspires you? So it's almost like you want to be with that person all the time.
Barack Obama.
So, who else?
Jim Rohn.
Oh yeah, I wish I could be that. I wish I could spend more time with him. Good stuff. Okay. Study the person you want to be like. Study. Okay. What are the traits of Jim Rohn do you like, Muzzy?
His capability of delivering a message, making a simple message sound so eloquent.
Yes, that is one hell of a skill he had, unfortunately. Okay, what else?
Because I aspire to be a public speaker. It's just his way of presenting. Love it.
You are missing the biggest, most important skill he has. Network marketing.
Oh yes, of course. Network marketing.
He made all of his wealth through networks. Okay, I want you guys to just reflect on this character that really, really inspires you, and what is it that person is doing special or did special. I just want you to reflect on that. I want you to create your own charismatic leader and then become one. Okay? Because everyone is different, remember. Harry, let's start with you. Who inspires you the most?
I don't know. I quite like Gary Vee.
Oh, yeah? Yeah? Okay, well, who else?
I don't know.
Okay, Gary Vee is good.
Yeah.
What are the traits that you like about him? What is it that you like about him?
I like when he talks about patience. How he says people put too much pressure on themselves to do stuff in the first year or two, and how he says how he held on. Something came across like when he invested in like Facebook and that, and then he took the jump, and that's how he became successful.
Yes. There's a couple of things that he really insists on hardcore, right? One is hard work. Second is creating content.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I just want you to observe, that's all. It's not rocket science. I just want you to observe a bit more depth to it. At the same time, remember, he is an early investor in many of the tech giants.
Yeah.
Yep. So that means that if you want to be like him, not necessarily be him, be like him, yeah, you have to be like yourself. You don't have to be like anyone, okay? But you just pick up the skills and the traits from other people and say, well, where is this person done well? And if you want to go in that direction, then what is it that you need to do to be able to become that person and then be able to do what he's done? Okay? Good stuff. Jassim, can you give me a name or two?
Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett.
Steve Jobs, wow, and Warren Buffett. Okay.
One thing about Steve Jobs, which kind of like is still in my mind, is that ability to think through of something unique and making it happen. If you read his book, you'll realize
yes.
His directive to his team was, I need a phone with only one button on it.
Yes.
This was the days where we had Nokias with a complete QWERTY keypad or big Nokias
yes.
in the market in 2007.
Yep.
And he said, I want a phone with one button on it. People thought it was impossible and he was nuts.
Okay, so there are more qualities that he has. I mean, obviously everyone knows that he's a marketing genius, right?
Correct.
But what else does he have that you may have overlooked? Bending Reality, obviously you've read the book. Bending Reality, that's the book.
Yes.
Obviously you've read the book, right? What else? In fact, the quote that I love the most in the world is Steve Jobs, which is actually on my Facebook, which is, and it represents his perspective on life. If you think you have something to lose, something along those lines, right? You know, the one which it says you're already naked. It's your perception that you have anything to lose. You know which one I'm talking about?
Sorry, I do know what you're talking about, but I just can't.
Okay, his quote, I mean, you can write this on Google, Steve Jobs quote about you're already naked. And if you write that, you'll find it. But what it represents is his ability to take risks. Okay, so again, I want you to look deeper, guys, into the skills of a person as well as the perspective. Sorry, bless you, whosoever it was. But I want you to look deeper. Okay, his ability, like I said, as well as he was a marketing genius and being able to bend reality in his favor, he was also a very, very high risk taker. Okay. So those are the skills you want to kind of look for. But I'll share with you some of the skills that I believe really make a major difference. Okay.
And with Warren Buffett, it's leadership.
Warren Buffett, no doubt, absolutely, the leadership as well as being able to spot opportunities and assess people, Jassim. I think he invests in people, and for him to be able to invest in any company, sometimes he'd observe the company for many, many years, the leadership, and then he would invest in that company. Okay.
Correct.
So his ability to be able to assess people and leadership skills play the biggest part. And I think another one, which is compounding. A lot of people underestimate compounding. Compounding is the most important skill anyone would ever learn in their life. Okay, compounding your money, compounding your credibility, compounding on everything that you potentially do. I compound on everything. Okay, you see me people taking people from one group to the other, or telling someone that I interviewed this person and they give me a chance to interview them. I build on everything that I have, and that includes money as well. Okay, plays a major part. I was very, very ignorant in my 20s. I believe in my 30s I improved. Now I'm very, very conscious about the way I spend my money as well as how I invest. Okay, so these are very, very important skills, guys. Like I said, I'm going to share with you more, but I just wanted everyone to kind of see a bit deeper into the characters that they like. Vicky, would you like to share a name or two?
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins, right? Right. This guy has a lot of skills. Okay, but one of the biggest skills he has is being able to get attention. Okay, how do you think he's made his money?
Connecting with people.
No. Yes, that is a reason, but that's not the main reason, or in fact, not even close. One of his main, yes, again, but not the main reason. In his early life, I'm talking about when he was 17 and 18 and 20, he was able to get a lot of attention through radio and being able to help people with their addictions. Okay, but at the same time, the major reason was him being able to get attention. Okay. So again, back to being a marketing genius in terms of being able to get attention. The session we did previously, which is again, content driven copywriting or the words that you speak, he is very, very good with that. Okay. And a lot more, obviously, right? But you got to look at the main skills, right? If you read about Tony Robbins, when he was about literally 18 or 20, he was able to appear on most main radio stations back in the days, and actually physically, like live shows, he was able to treat addictions. That's why he got a lot of attention. That's why he got to this point. Okay. Any more names, Vicky?
I can think of.
It's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I'll share with you what I believe are the most important, which I think you already know, but I just want you to reflect on all of this. This is very important. Lydia, any characters? I'm not sure if you can hear us. Lavanya, can you hear me?
Yes, Jack.
Yeah. Any one or two names?
I would say Steve Jobs, Virgin, Richard Branson.
Yes.
And I like his business skills, Richard Branson, definitely. How he improved Virgin brand and everything. And Robin Sharma, I started following the Robin Sharma as well. He's more about mindset.
That's right, yes.
So.
But he's very, very good, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at, did you say Steve Jobs, right?
I did say Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson and Robin Sharma. Okay. And Robin Sharma. So we've done Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And now Richard Branson. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look at Richard Branson's business model, that's hardcore. Have you read his book? The book, Being a Virgin? Something like that?
No, I didn't. But I used to follow him on LinkedIn and his posts and his business skills. I could see that, how he has improved, definitely.
Okay. If you look at his business at the moment, okay, even back in the days, he started with catalogs, right? He was initially, the first business he started was like a magazine, right?
Yeah.
And then he started on with other things and bits and pieces, right? If you look at his business acumen, in most cases, he's always focused on the new trend, the new business.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now when you look at his business, it's a lot more content driven. They do events, they bring in speakers like we do at just a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
He does speaking pretty much, every week he's somewhere speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So most of his business is a lot more content driven these days.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at his business model. But again, the business acumen in being able to spot the right opportunities is key. Okay. If you look at Robin Sharma, everything is content driven, right? He's got 7-figure book publishing contracts in place, right? And at the back end, obviously, he monetizes them through trainings as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how the business model really works. But if you look at his skills, it's all about mindset. It's all about becoming the extraordinary you, being exceptional at your skills. In fact, one thing that I always kind of talk about is conscious focus. You go and see a doctor. He's been a doctor for 20 years. Do you think he's the most experienced?
Yeah. No.
If a doctor has been there for 20 years, and if he's not consciously practiced to be exceptional, he's not. He could be just another doctor who graduated and just became a doctor and doesn't even give a shit. Okay. While you meet another doctor who's been only maybe a doctor for 5 years, and now because he's consciously focused on his skills, he's a surgeon and maybe one of the top. Conscious focus is the key. Okay. Okay. Let's take some more characters from someone. Seti, do you have one or two?
Tony Robbins, which I was with 4 days now over the weekend.
Oh, you did UPW? Yeah.
I did UPW at the weekend.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I've been doing this. The first time I saw him was 2008. You forget things. I went in to top up, and I remember something, saying to the wife, I did it with the wife. I thought, you know what, it's an experience to do together.
Yeah.
I don't mind repeating it because we don't remember everything.
No.
So even if I invest in myself every year, £300-400, and
I would
pick up
recommend to go to UPW if you haven't. Yeah, definitely experience. Yeah.
That was powerful. Little nuggets that I picked up on, I'd forgotten, which are powerful. I've been in Robin Sharma for about 3 years. Actually, I live with something. Hold on. You know, I like doing this stuff. Give me 2 seconds.
No worries.
Can you see?
Yep. Yeah. The leader without a title. Yes. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Okay. Journey and Souls, Dr. Wayndare, is it? Yeah. Yeah. Unshakable. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Okay. Let me share with you my thoughts. Is that okay?
Yes, Jack.
Okay. So there's 3 things that I really honestly kind of apply to myself. Okay. Which is a visionary person. Okay. Having the right kind of vision to drive a business and to drive focus is very, very much the key, I believe. Okay. If you don't have a vision, how are you supposed to influence people who will work for you or people who are connected with you? Okay. Let's say in Harry's case, how can you lead a network effectively if you don't have a vision for yourself? I'm not saying you don't, I know you do, but can you hear me, Harry?
Yeah.
Okay, so a vision-based character is very much the key. And I'm just not just saying character. You gotta have a vision, right? You know, you are very young, but if you can say with all your conviction, in about 10 years' time, I want to potentially get to a point where we have 1 million visitors on our app. Do you think you're going to attract people?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So vision plays a major part in building any business that you're potentially working on.
What? So like draw a vision board type thing?
Yes. And I mean, be very, very specific with it. And not just a vision board and writing your goals down and all that, but actually conveying that in your content with people so people could connect with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one is future-based cause. Tell me, why do you think is this guy, Elon Musk, so famous?
Can attract the best to his company?
No. One of the biggest reasons he's famous is because of future-based cause. That means he's working on things that most people would be very, very skeptical or hesitant of. If I said to Seti, or even myself, that leave everything and start working on creating rockets, do you think that's going to happen easily?
No.
No. People don't want to risk their life for things that are going to be like very, very difficult, right? That is the reason he is one of the most famous people. Okay. And that's exactly the reason he's able to attract money. If you guys don't know, most of the money that's invested into his the space projects is actually coming from governments. Okay. It's not his own money. But the reason he's able to attract that money is because he's working on a future-based cause. Does that make sense?
He is getting contracts with NASA.
That's right, yes. Not just NASA, but from the governments as well. But at the same time, you might ask me, how does that apply to our business? I'll tell you how it does, okay? When I stand and say, we are working on creating the world's first property social media platform, Can you see I'm creating something that's a future-based course, something that I'm creating to help people out? Does that make sense? In the most smallest possible way? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to have a future-based cause to attract more people. Is everyone clear on that? And the last but not the least is that the leader offers a new opportunity and not just an improved version of something. Does that make sense? Let me give you an example. Let's say I go and start recruiting people to say, you know what, we are bringing in more reps, we are growing in this way, this is the business model. Can you see this is a kind of a new opportunity? Can everyone see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
If I went out and I said, I'm looking for people who could be project managers, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And, people who are project managers, who are looking for a job, they'll connect with me and they'll work for us, right? But do you think they'll be excited and inspired?
No.
Okay, here's a question. When Google and these Amazons, the likes of Amazons, are creating these new products, Alexas and all of that, do you think people who are working behind the scene on this, either they're in research and development or they are into marketing, do you think they're all very excited and inspired because they're working on this new thing, right?
Yeah.
So the third trait that I believe plays a major part in a charismatic leader is leader offers a new opportunity and not just an improved version of something. You literally have to take this and say, how does this apply to my scenario and my business? Okay. A very small example, Lavanya, for you would be, you remember you saw that co-living accommodation company, right? The award-winning guy.
That's right.
Do you remember that? Okay.
Yes.
Can you see that even on the smallest of the scale, they're bringing something new?
Of course.
What was that?
It's a co-living. It's nothing but similar to HMO, but more of a community focused rather than rooms focused.
Who was doing that?
Would you like me to explain?
Send you the link later.
I'll explain that a bit more. The way it's structured is, Harry, that instead of just a standard HMO where you can get rooms,
yeah,
they try and create more like a community. There's more communal space, there's more activities, there's more happening. So people who are living in the property can spend more time with each other and live like a community. Okay. And the way it's designed is very, it's designed in a way where you are more likely to spend more time with your roommates and so on and so forth. Yeah, and it's encouraged as well.
It's more focused as a, sharing parties. It could be sharing food or sitting down and chatting with them, spending some more time because you don't want to be in your room at the same time all the time.
So even on the smallest scale, yes.
Yeah.
So even on the smallest scale, Harry, here, what's happening is that they are creating something that no one else is. Let's say I'm looking for a HMO room and I'm getting charged 100 by a standard room, and I'm getting charged 120 by the other room. More people will pay for that 120 than 100 because there's a lot more.
Yeah, at least their rates are 20% minimum higher than the normal.
They are, yes. They are.
So
yes.
If it is, for example, normal room rented about £500.
Yeah.
This was renting out by 720, 750.
600, 700, yes.
And it's been preoccupied before the
with a waiting list, yeah.
With the waiting list.
With a waiting list, yeah. When you create something premium, you're more likely to have a waiting list of that. Muzzy, this applies to you. Seti applies to you. In fact, it applies to pretty much everyone who's watching this. That you gotta have a new opportunity on the table. bring a new opportunity that you can attract more people towards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For some people, it will be a thought to go back onto the board and say, you know what, let me just see, let me look at my strategy and see how I can bring something new to the table. For others, it's just, you know what, it's already there, all they need to do is implement. Okay, it's again, it goes back to strategic positioning or being able to, you know, bring more creative products or services in the market. Okay, so I believe these are the three main characteristics of a charismatic leader. The future-based cause, a new opportunity, those are, and that does not mean that every other skills that you look at or the perspectives that you look at, they don't apply. They do apply. I just shared what I believe are the most important. Okay, bringing in more creativity, a vision, and a future-based cause plays a major part. Any questions on this so far? Okay, so let me add to the mix a bit of a bit more spice to all of this. Like I said, I normally tend to struggle bringing more comedy or more fun into the content because I have a dry sense of humor. But people who have a lot not so dry sense of humor can bring fun to this, which again plays a very good part. Okay, so when you are creating content, when you're attracting people, when you're creating your personal and professional brand, bring a bit of comedy into it, just not dry comedy, that's all. Okay, good stuff. Okay, guys, another thing that I want you guys to observe is, the top 1%ers in the world. Now, does anyone know how much wealth does the top 1%ers own?
How much of the world like do they own?
How much of the world's wealth is owned by the top 1%ers?
What the 99% own.
No, it's not. No, that's not accurate. I think it's more like the 50% of the wealth is owned by 1%. And then it's tiered as well. So the top 3% own 80%, top 1% own 50%, top 3 own almost like 80%, and then it goes a little down. Just so you know, if you live in UK and you have a job, you already are in the top 10% in the world. You already are automatically. Most people don't know that or don't realize that. But if you were not making money in any of the Asian or African countries, you're dirt poor. In this country, even if you don't make money, you still get looked after by the government, or you can do a little bit of job here and there and still live a kind of a reasonably good life. Okay, so most people in UK are still make to the top 10% in the world. Okay, but we know when we live in UK that there's a lot of poverty here, right? We know that because we live here. But at the same time, even the most poor people in this country still have food on the table, which is great, which is good. Okay. But going back to the top 1%ers, anyone observed the most important traits these guys have? There are actually 7 in the list that I'd like to share, but anyone wants to share a few? Mazi, would you like to share?
They don't quit.
Yes. But it's not in the list.
They don't quit. They are focused, goal-driven. Still none of them on the list.
One of them is on the list, yes.
I'll take that.
All right, okay. Let me start this, okay? The first one you already know. Everyone knows. Guess. Let's just see who keeps working on this. Is the top 1%ers create networks, okay? Either physical networks or virtual networks, and they create very, very, very large networks. I'm not talking about small networks. I'm not talking about 100,000 people. I'm talking about millions. Okay. An example for you would be, let's say Domino's franchise, yeah, or Pizza Hut franchise, right? Can you see these are very, very large networks? In fact, McDonald's. People who are sitting on the board are the top 1%ers in the world. Okay. So using the network effect in your business strategy is one of the skills. Second one is spinning laws, and I mean country laws, into gold. What do I mean by that? Let's say there is with this COVID situation, once this is over, not sure if you know this is statistically proven actually, after this COVID situation is over, we're going to start to see emergence of new billion-dollar companies after COVID. You know that, guys, right? That's because there will be laws in place and some people would be able to turn those laws in their favor. Okay, let me give you an example in property business. This new permanent development law that has come about, a lot of people are about to make a lot of money out of that. Okay, which means that if you have a detached property, in some cases you can build another floor or extend or whatever. Now, if you own a piece of land, instead of building 2 floors, now you're able to build 3 or 4. Someone owns a commercial building, all of a sudden they can add another floor to their building. Some people are about to make a lot of money from this new law of permitted developments. Jasim, your thoughts on this? Not sure if he's here. But the law is spinning the country laws in your favor. Okay? That plays a major part. If you have intimate knowledge of the laws of the country, when there is a gap that opens, and if you can make it work in your favor, that will really, really help you scale your business. Okay?
Hi, Jack. Sorry, I was on a call then.
That's okay. How do you think this new permitted development will play a part in scaling many people's businesses?
It's a big push from the government, from the local policy perspective. The constraint of going through the whole planning process will now get away, and then it's like part of permitted development. So that kind of gives you a more positive, and you're more comfortable doing it.
Okay.
Like when you look at it, it's more like a risk, and how do you mitigate a risk? Now that risk is automatically gone away because of a policy-driven change.
Okay, so here it is, right? You guys know statistically that 5% of the country's wealth is generational, right? So people who own these large commercial buildings, large office spaces, large blocks of flats, how do you think they're going to benefit, Jasim, from this permitted development law?
Office, no doubts. The guys who own large blocks of flats, they get additional, they get rights to build additional floors on top of the existing. So they get to make more revenue. Obviously, they would have made sufficient amount of revenue from it when they originally built it. But the fact that now they're going to build additional is like much more than cherry and icing on the cake.
That's right. Yes. So the point I'm trying to make is that using country laws in your favor to be able to scale your business. That means for you, let's say if you're sourcing and some of these guys maybe are in their 60s and 70s, generational wealth, they already own large plots of either lands or commercial buildings or flats or whatever. With these new permitted development rights, they are not able to do anything themselves. Now they're looking for people to help them. That's when you come in the picture, and that will allow you to scale your business. Does that make sense, guys?
Makes sense.
Fantastic. That's what I'm talking about here, okay, in your context. So spinning laws into gold. Another one is owning. So if you guys are not writing this down, you want to grab a piece of paper, because this is very, very important, guys. You need to keep your antenna up when it comes to stuff like that. Another one is owning assets, or the other side of the coin is not owning assets. So working on option agreements. Okay. So let's say you own a property, and you know, I can give you this example. In fact, the Wembley development we did, we are more likely, I mean, I'm guessing at this stage, but we're more likely to get permission for another floor. Okay. Now, if we get permission for another floor, we add almost another $1 million to the GDV value, while the cost of building those just one single floor and 2 flats would be what, 250,000 to the max. So there's a profit of 750,000. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so this is owning assets, and then not owning assets stands at when you don't own a property and you're working on the lease option or the option agreement or delayed completion, whatever you want to call it. Okay. I can actually show you people. I actually came across someone the other day. He's got 4 or 5 different option agreements that he's working on. And let's say if he was to deliver on all of them, he's sitting on equity worth well over 10 million from zero investment. All right, guys, this is a guy that I'm working alongside with to get him funding. Okay, but he's working on multiple option agreements, and the equity that he's going to generate from that is roughly about 10 million. Okay. So owning assets and not owning assets at the same time, owning, controlling, not owning, but still controlling assets plays a major part in scaling. Guaranteed backup of the risk you take. Mazi, let me ask you this. Why do you think I've signed up with you to take on the property? I trust you, obviously. I trust you, that's obvious. What else?
The other reason is experience. The what's the word? As in working together in terms of leverage in my location and the resource that you have. And expanding on business, really.
2 reasons for me. One is that I am, just give me 1 sec. Guaranteed backup of the risk that I take. Okay, because of proximity, I have more risk, and because of your proximity, you have less risk. So I'm taking my risk and I'm giving it to you because of proximity. But now can you see that I have almost no risk? Yeah. So making sure that when you take risk, that you have always a backup plan with so it can guarantee your risk. Does that make sense? Okay. For you, it's a lot lesser risk because you're very close. For me, it's a lot more risk because I'm not so close. But at the same time, I'm getting a guaranteed rent. So I have almost no risk. Well, there's always risk, but not almost no risk, if you know what I mean. So when you take your decisions, guys, always make sure that you have a backup plan to your risk. Does that make sense, guys? And this applies to not just property, and this applies to pretty much every business that you work on. A simple example for you would be, Jasim, are you there?
Yes, Jack, I'm here.
A simple example for you would be, you know, when someone says, you know what, do this couple of hours work for me. You say, you know what, there's an admin fee. You want to make sure that this guy doesn't disappear. Guaranteed backup. How does this apply on a larger scale? Let's say you build a portfolio of 20 properties. You know what? Just go and get insurance, rental insurance. Okay. Or for that matter, give the properties to the council. The money is backed by the government. It will always pay you, right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Another one is, don't be the best. Don't be the best. Be the only if possible. I cannot insist enough.
What does that mean?
Don't be the best. Be the only if possible. Why do you think Mark Zuckerberg keeps buying social media assets? Why do you think he keeps buying that?
Because he's looking to be the only one, and so
exactly, he wants to be the only one in the market. When someone says, "I don't want to sell," what do they do? They go and replicate the features and pay fines.
Because they can afford them, and they'll drive them out.
Exactly. They are fined by the court for someone suing them $1 billion. You know what? Here is $1 billion for you. I'm not paying 10 billion for your company. I'm going to replicate. I'm going to pay a fine of $1 billion, 2 billion. I'm going to replicate, and now I'm going to beat you. Okay? It's very, very difficult to apply this, but try to be the only in your game. It's not easy. Hell, when you get there, you will enjoy. Okay?
Jeff Bezos is doing the same thing.
Bezos is doing the same thing. In fact, many people try and do the same thing. I think Seti has the strategy as well, where he wants to be the potentially only one, if possible, and just buy the rest of the business in the local region.
Totally. I'm still here. I just thought, yeah, definitely.
Be the only in the region. If that means either buying the businesses out or doing whatever it is that's required, I'm going to share more on this. Wait. Be the only. Okay? Within the same context, there's two things here. Most of the top 1%ers, if you ever meet them in person, they are very, very mean and ruthless. And I'm saying many of them. I didn't say all of them. Okay? And when I say they're mean and ruthless, I'm talking about business transactions. Okay? So if you can potentially position yourself to be the only one, and if that means being ruthless, you may need to do that. Okay? I'll tell you a very quick story. Someone was trying to, and I think this is someone, I think many of you know here, but someone was trying to buy a PEN from me. And initially he gave a proposal, and then later on it was a bit of a change. And then later on he kind of changed his statement and so on and so forth, right? I went a bit mean because he kept changing his statements. He kept, he kept messing me around. So I went a bit mean on him, and I said, you know what? You're not going to be able to deliver anyway. The operational skills that I have, you just don't have them, unfortunately. And, your ideas may sound great. Good luck to you. It's just not going to happen for you. Not at least now. This guy went off, and he hasn't done nothing about PEN, because he was telling me that he's going to start an idea like PEN. Nothing has happened for the past 12 months. Nothing. This guy is a techie. Okay, so I went ruthless because I know that he can't implement. I know that he hasn't got the operational capability and the skills to be able to deliver. Does that make sense, guys? It's one thing having an idea, it's another thing actually being able to deliver. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But guess what? Let's say if he is able to manage to, do something or whatever, I promise you I'll beat him to his game. Okay. I will be ruthless when it comes to game, when it comes to business. Okay. So you have to have that mean streak and a bit more ruthlessness when it comes to be the only in your game. Okay.
Plot twist, the guy's actually me. We're at war.
What's that?
Said plot twist, I'm actually the techie and we're at war with each other.
Yeah. So it is very, very important, guys. Are you guys taking these notes? Because all this needs to be in your conscious mind if you want to really scale your business, guys.
Yep, I'm taking notes.
Okay, good stuff. Just so you know, guys, I apply most of this stuff to my business. Okay, there's a time and a day for everything, but I apply most of this in my business. Now, this is very, very important. Bigger is still better. What do I mean by that? Muzzy, I'll give you an example. Let's say you come across a deal that's only giving you maybe 400 a month. Those who wait for those £1,000 per month net deals, what happens with them? They keep waiting, right? I recommend that if you come across one that pays you 300 to 400, you take them on and scale faster.
Absolutely.
Because bigger is still better. Reason, because even if a deal is making him only maybe 200 or 300 a month, that's a weekly salary for one of his employees who may potentially look after the business. And remember, this guy is going to manage what, 30 properties? Okay, so it still pays the bills. If you look at Amazon's model, they work on a very, very low margin. In many cases, they only work on 3 or 4%, sometimes even 2%, which means that when you are buying something worth £10 on Amazon, Amazon is only maybe making 20 pence. Okay, so bigger is still better, even if it means working on a very, very small margin, so you could scale. Muzzy, for you, let's say you get to 100 rent-to-rents, and it's a mixture of something that pays you 200 a month and 1,000 a month. What is your business going to be valued at? So forget about the profits it's making now. Look at the scalability and the goodwill that it has. What would you get? You're going to get a lot of money for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so try and look at the numbers game. Okay, bigger is still better in any case whatsoever. Okay, even if it means working on very, very small numbers. An example again for Jasim, for you could be, you know what, someone charges £1,000 a day. You come in the market and say, you know what, I'm going to charge for the same skill 500, but I'm going to play a numbers game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay.
Playing the economics, playing the numbers game, playing the maths game. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
As for Seti, it is, you know what, if you go and buy these two businesses, I don't know if Seti is listening, but if you go and buy these two businesses, scale the numbers, someone could be looking to buy his business for, quite a lot of money. You build the goodwill, right? So even if you're working on very, very low margins sometimes, that's okay for as long as you can grow and grow fast. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
This is definitely coming to PE and as well from different perspectives, okay? Last but not the least is the economics of things, right? It's the economics of things. I did touch on it, but let me give you another example. There was a bank that, well, in fact, let me tell you a story, and this is a good and a bad one, in fact. there was a guy in Bangladesh, and Jasim might know this, or Lavanya might know this, but there's a guy in Bangladesh who, I mean, Bangladesh is actually a very, very poor country, right? Even in comparison
You're talking
to,
about Professor Muhammad Yunus,
that's right, yes.
banker to the poor.
That's right, yes, banker to the poor. So he actually was a professor. He did his education in States. He moved to Bangladesh, that's where he was from, I think. And he started a small business called loaning to the poor. Basically, he was loaning money like $1 and $2 and $3 to people who used to live in slums and used to do trades like selling stuff that's worth pennies. Okay. He ended up building a very, very large bank. I can't remember the name. Justin, can you remember the bank name?
No, Jack, I can't. I don't remember the name.
So he ended up building a very, very large bank based on that positioning where they were lending money. And we're talking about very little money, $5 and $10 and $20 and $200 to the really like the labor class people. And eventually he ended up building a very, very large company. And he even got a Nobel Prize for that at one point, which was eventually taken away for some reason. But it's the numbers in economics, which means it's a numbers game. What can you do in your business? And I'm asking this to everyone. What can you do to play the numbers game? What can you do today so your expenses, business expenses, go to 2 million and you make 2.2 million next year? Remember, the risk one is still there, right? So you always keep a guaranteed risk level, risk and reward ratio. But what can you do today or in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? It doesn't really matter. Everyone has their own capability and the appetite. But what can you do in your business? So you could end up having business expenses at $1 million, but your profits are at 1.2 or 1.1. I want you guys to think of that. Okay. I will connect this with something else at a later stage. Okay. But I want you to start thinking. Remember, every business is nothing more than a marketing machine. The day you understand the day you work out the cost of acquisition of each transaction that you do in your business and the cost of the revenue of each customer or each property that you overtake, Mazi, in your case, the day you understand it's a money in, money out business, right? You invest $1 million, you take out 1.1, or you invest 5 million and you take out 5.5, or whatever those numbers might be. Business is all about, it's a marketing machine. You put in X amount of money, you take out X amount of money. That's the point you want to potentially get to. But it's economics, right? The number, it's all in the numbers. And then you have to make them work in your favor. Does that make sense? Anyone wants to take this as an example in their business and tell me how can they apply? I can show you in my business by all means. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, right. Now, initially when you start any business, you have to do a lot of initial effort so you make sure that you create this network and create the traction, right? Initial traction, which we've already done. Well, at least to some extent anyway, right? Now for me, it's about hiring more people. So there is more networking done and expanding the investor database, leading to a point where I can actually calculate the cost of acquisition of each customer that we do business with. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Remember, we have multiple products in place, right? We are bringing in training program. We are bringing in the recruitment side of things. We are bringing in property finance. Property finance is already there. Property sourcing. We are already monetizing, architects. We are monetizing builders. We are monetizing multiple things. We are also bringing in IT services, guys. Do you know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, it's already on the platform. The page is already on the platform as far as I'm aware. Okay. In fact, we are also bringing in a training subscription model, which is already live on the platform. I haven't started promoting yet, but it's already live on the platform. Okay. So there are multiple services. So from next year onwards, there'll be a marketing budget. There already is a marketing budget that I use towards multiple things. But from next year onwards, there'll be a marketing budget, and I need to be able to measure how many people we can acquire who do business with us in comparison to the money that I invest into marketing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
An example would be, let's say it costs me £200 to acquire a customer, and this person I can make maybe £1,000 from. Now, you know, I can put in 200 and I can make 1,000. Or it could be even 200 and 300. I'm yet to work that out in this business. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. In chauffeuring business, it was a lot more easier. Well, from different angles, because there was corporate contracts and there was individual contracts. So there was personal and professional contracts, right? So it was different from that perspective, but the cost of acquisition of a single customer was roughly about £200 in the transport business. And we normally used to make about 400 to 500 from each customer. That's on personal side. And on the corporate side, it was a lot different. Acquiring a customer was roughly worth about £1,000, while we could make a lot more. We could, in some cases, make over £1,000. Oh, sorry, £100,000 from them. Okay, so it was money in, money out kind of thing. So we're investing X amount of money in marketing, and we're bringing in business, and we were generating revenue from that. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So the money is in the economics of and scaling. Remember, it's not just about the profits you make initially. You may only make little profits, but if you can scale faster, you've got money in the goodwill. Okay. In fact, if you look at PEN now, I was in the midst of getting a valuation done, but I decided to wait for about 3 to 4 months for certain reasons. But I'll be getting a official valuation done sometimes next year, and I will share with you guys the results. Okay.
What do you mean by valuation? Valuation on the business?
Of the business, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you will see how everything is working behind the scene, and how a business owner or an entrepreneur would look at this business model and the way it's progressing and its value.
How simple or difficult is it to get a valuation for a business?
It's pretty simple. It costs money. You literally have to bring in someone who is an expert in the field that you are in. I need to bring someone on the technology side. So I'm bringing someone who does technology platform valuations.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I was going to say, sorry to take in a bit of a tangent, but do they actually look at it like what a surveyor would do with the property, and then
they
also
would, yes, they would look at everything. Yes, they would look at everything.
They would
look at the revenue. They would look at the business model. They look at the potential of growth. They would look at everything. They would look at everything. I mean, everything.
They will also factor in a forecasted growth based on the current position where you are versus what you can technically grow this into. Then according to that, they'll put a future valuation to everything that is there, and then back value it to present value, and then say this is the valuation. Like if the business had to go on for 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years.
Yes. They will look at they will look at the cash flow. They look at the KPIs. They'll look at everything.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if they would actually make suggestions on what you can do to improve.
Yeah,
they can. They charge a lot of money for that.
They don't really do that. They don't give it out in their valuation report. But if you want, that is a separate assignment that they take up and they do it.
That's right. Yes, but they will charge you a lot of money for that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
No, because we used to do this as a thing for like when I was a management consultant, we used to do this as a regular assignment for our clients.
Yes.
That's how I know so much about it.
Yes. And the multiples you get sometimes depend on the potential it has rather than the revenue you're generating. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay. So let's say a business, let's say you are into shared accommodation, okay, or rent to rents, or HMOs or whatever. And let's say you already have 20 or 30 or 14 year profile. And now, because of COVID and everything else, rising house prices, maybe the trend is like that. It's growing by, I don't know, let's say 50% a year. They will even look at the valuation of your business based on the future growth of the industry or the positioning you are in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Okay. I've just shared with you some really important skills when it comes to the top 1%ers in the world, guys. And I'm not just sharing this with you as theory. It is theory, yes, we are sharing it like a training program, but at the same time, it's a lot of observation and implementation of some of the things that we are working on as we speak, okay? Including my experience of working as a consultant with many, many businesses, okay? So this is very much the key. So if you're looking to do anything, find ways to scale it faster. Find ways to scale it faster. Obviously, you guys can already see how I am growing PEN. Either it's the network or the business model structure, creating the second layer, bringing in the CRM system, creating the social features. Everything that you do is a way to scale and get a higher valuation at one point. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
No.
Sorry, I'm just going to go back to my notes. I had made notes for this call, so.
I've got a question, Jack. It's more
Yes,
about the copywriting. I just wanted to ask you before because I got to leave soon. It's about how I do WhatsApp broadcast lists, because I don't know how to. I want to implement them because they're on my marketing list, but I don't know how I would use them with sort of a network side.
So this is what I've been doing for the past 3 days. In fact, I dug into my contact list, which was sub 7,000 something, 7,200 something. I dug into it and I sent them a message, which is, would you like to grow your property portfolio and your business?
Yeah.
If so, please call Jack on this number.
Yeah.
Because these are some of the people that I've never messaged. Yeah. I wrote below, if you don't want to hear from us, please reply with no message. Inverted commas. So what you are doing is, when you're messaging someone the first time, you're kind of, going with the GDPR as well, which is people's privacy as well. So if you're messaging someone, you're giving them the opportunity to say, you know what, you can just unsubscribe. And if someone replies, in fact, because I messaged about 1,000 people in the past 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had about maybe 3 or 4 people message me and no messages. So what I did was I literally went and deleted the whole entry of their phone number from everywhere. So now they don't exist in my system at all. So I will never be able to message them ever again. Okay. Yeah. But I've literally had maybe 3 or 4 people, if I can remember off the top of my head, who replied no messages. Okay. But about 1,000 messages were sent, roughly about 1,000 messages were sent in the past 3 or 4 days.
And then what, you put them in a broadcast list?
No, those, and within that, you want to ask them to join a network as well. So my message was, call Jack. If you would like to join our network, join this group. So I sent that as well within the message. Let me actually share that with you.
Was there a way to sort of systemize it, or did you have to do the copy and paste method?
Yes, there's a way to systemize that as well. Okay. Just give me 1 sec. Select all, copy. I'm sending the message that I sent so you can see in the ref script. Okay.
Okay.
This was the message that I sent. You can see it. And at the same time, when I want someone to be added to the broadcast list, I ask people, would you like to hear from me? and then I add them to my broadcast list.
So
Simple.
what do you literally, yeah, but what would I don't know what I should promote on the broadcast list type thing.
Your events, your network, and
Yeah.
remember,
So
you want to start taking projects as well. By all means, you can start doing that.
So do it kind of like a mailing list, exactly the same as the mailing list. Okay.
Yeah. So when I send a message on WhatsApp, I have 6 different lists, 6 or 7, I think, 7. And I think there is about, if I can remember, maybe 1,100-1,200 people in there, just in the broadcast lists.
Okay.
And then I have roughly about 1,000 plus on the email lists.
Yeah.
And I have the phone numbers as well, which I keep messaging, and I have on LinkedIn and Facebook. So there's always messages going out to people, but they're very, very subtle messages. They're not hardcore sales or anything. They're just very, very simple messages.
Yeah.
In fact, you can see the one which I just sent in the group.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else has any questions?
Nothing for now, Jack.
Okay, so let me cover a few things before we shoot off for the rest of the day. We still have about an hour or so. Okay, so within the marketing, right, one of the things that I observe a lot of people get wrong is, where do people look first when they're looking for something? Jasim? Someone is looking for your services, where do they look first?
Facebook or LinkedIn. They just type Google. They just type my name.
Okay, you have?
Yeah.
Good. Have you used the keywords on your website?
I've asked them to. I've been following up with them to get that sorted.
It is their job, but your responsibility, which means you need to sit with them and say, well, seems like this is the word that would potentially get more traffic.
Understood.
And then picking up those keywords from Google Analytics to be able to apply in your content, as well as in your meta tags and so on and so forth on your website.
Noted.
Okay. Into your written content and in your video content and everywhere else as well. Okay. Remember, when someone is looking for something, the question you need to ask is, where do they look first? And that's where you need to be. In many cases these days, unfortunately, it's Google.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to make sure that you're registered on Google with all the potential keywords, so you show up for free when they look for you.
Understood.
Okay. Mazi, can I find you in Coventry as a rent-to-rent operator?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I would take this as a compliment that I do ask good questions.
It is indeed.
Just
as you're talking,
joking.
I'm thinking, where would they find me? Yes,
where would they find you? Where would they find you? Lavanya?
Yes, Jack.
Where can people find you if you are the investor in Watford?
No, nowhere. Yeah.
You need to be able to. Okay, so the mindset here is, you need to be aware people look first. Someone is looking for maths. Would they go on Amazon or Google?
Google.
Amazon.
Maps.
Maths.
MATHS. Mathematics.
No, maths. MATS, maths. Doormats.
Doormats. Okay.
Someone is looking for a phone accessory. Where would they look? Google or Amazon?
Amazon.
Someone is looking for networking events on property. Where would they look?
Harry Williams.
Huh?
Eventbrite.
Harry Williams.
Where would they look? It's a question, guys. Very important.
Google.
Facebook. Google.
Meetups.
I would look at YPN magazine.
Well, YPN as well, but Lavanya has made a great point. Meetup app.
What's Meetup?
Yeah,
It's an app. Download it.
it's an app from where you can book, or you can where events are organized.
Yes. In fact, I had 3 different groups on Meetup with well over 5,000 people. I had to leave Meetup because there is already a group called Property Entrepreneurs Network, PEN, Australia based.
Does it not work? Does it not work if they're Australia based, or will it be until you overtake them? Is it?
So unless I overtake them, it's overlapping. And I thought it's just not necessarily a good idea. So I decided to leave Meetup. But it is definitely a great platform for you, Harry.
Okay.
Or in fact, for those who are growing their network, Meetup. The
Events
question
can be on Eventbrite as well, can't they?
Eventbrite as well. But the point I'm trying to make is when someone is looking for a certain service or a product, where would they look first? And are you there or not? Okay, very, very important, guys. Okay, if you have to, in fact, I can show you companies, umbrella companies who have subdivisions and they have multiple different listings and postings on Google and Amazon or wherever people are. But sometimes it's just a one big umbrella company with hundreds of listings. Okay, but they're all being diverted into a one single big umbrella company, which means that you can create 100 emails, get registered on Google with 100 different accounts, and create different profiles when people are looking for it, but they're all diverted into the umbrella company. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
This is very, very simple, guys. This is super, super simple. Create an email, create a profile on Google, get registered with your keywords, divert that email into your main email, and that's the end of it. It's just time consuming, but it'll create you a lot more business. The perspective is that you need to be where people are looking for first for your products or services. The keyword here is first. If you are late in the game of being noticed or being found, you're just not going to get the business. All right.
Okay.
Okay. The biggest business comes to those who have the maximum number of collaborations in place on automation. Okay. Question for everyone here. How many collaborations do you have? Good start. But the point I'm trying to make is how many collaborations do you have which will lead to scaling your business? Okay. I've got, if I can think off the top of my head, probably about 40, 50 different collaborations in place with different lenders, different brokers, different people. In fact, all the reps, the way PEN reps are connected to PEN, they are collaborations.
Yeah.
Can you see that, guys? So I'm talking about collaborations beyond the reps. I've probably got about 40, 50, probably 50 if I can think on top of my head. Okay, and these are written collaborations. That means we have agreements in place where we generate business for each other, and that leads to more business for both of us. Okay, the more the collaborations on autopilot, the more you will be able to scale your business. What do I mean by that? How can you apply this in your business? Jasim?
More collaborations, more points of more marketing points, marketing hooks for me. Each collaboration is a marketing hook. So more. Sorry.
But the point I'm trying to make is collaborations. A collaboration for you could be someone is looking to buy a property. Okay. At what point do they start looking for a consultant or a project manager? When they're looking for a build quote, right?
Yeah.
So your main point of collaborations is either brokers or builders.
Correct. Actually, in the current UK market, for me, collaboration with brokers would be much better than builders.
Yeah, that's fine. Have you made a list of 1,000 brokers?
No.
Well, that's your task. Guys, I'm just asking you questions and I'm trying to make points for you that you need to start doing more collaborations. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Who here is doing leaflets and direct to vendor letters? Anyone? Mazi?
Sorry, say that again, Jack.
So are you doing direct to vendor letters and leaflets and so on?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Okay. You need to consistently do that. Okay. Otherwise, it just becomes a lot more difficult. Okay.
Yeah.
We were doing it. We stopped. We're going to start doing them again, but we should not stop as well. Okay.
Indeed, yeah.
So everyone here, if you haven't started doing your leaflets or your direct to vendor letters, you need to start doing them. They don't cost a lot of money. In most cases, it can be a budget of £100 a month. If you want to spend more, be my guest, but you can start with like £100 a month. Okay. But I promise you, it will start giving you results over a period of time. And that's with everyone. Jasim, this applies to you. It applies to pretty much all of us. Okay. Good stuff. And again, last but not the least is, who here has made a slight bit of move towards recruiting more people?
In a way, I have.
I lost the contact.
It is not direct, but
yeah.
Not
yes,
direct, but indirect way.
In an indirect way. That's fine. Direct, indirect, it doesn't really matter. For as
Jack,
long
just
as...
give me 1 minute, please.
No problem. Mazi, let's start with you.
Hit me.
Okay. Any small movement towards being able to recruit more people, and if I can help you with something?
Yes. Yes, I have actually made a move. So I'm getting my followings from increasing the contents that I post out.
Yes.
And also growing the other network that I have. So when I get more followers, I can direct them over to being a pen rep.
Okay, so I'll share with you a way to do this a bit more actively. Okay. Mm-hmm. Message people, find out what is it that their pain points are, and understand if there is synergy for them to come on board. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Understanding where the pain points are, understanding where the synergy is, and see if them becoming a part of your team can potentially help them as well as help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you might have to actively message people, understand where the pain points are of someone, and then go from that point. And the compelling messages, which I sent just now, if you look at the one I sent just now, that's just an attractive message. For those who are focused on growing their property portfolio, it is a great message. In many cases, they will reply. Not all, you're always going to have X number of people who will never reply and so on and so forth. But that's a numbers game, right?
Correct.
But to be able to pursue this actively, looking at the benefits are that not just that you're going to grow your portfolio and the deals that are going to come to you, but you're going to make money from left, right, center, all sorts of angles, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Harry,
Yeah.
I think you already know this. Question is, have you taken any step?
Yeah. So I put up quite a few. I haven't done the leafleting as such, but what I've been doing is I've put up about 50. Well, I think it's about 55 of like these leaflets, but I put them up in like shops.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, and then I'm trying to do a nurse. So I know someone who owns a nursery, like a large nursery company down here. So I'm going to do the school letters through her.
Okay.
But I haven't done like actual leafleting yet.
Okay. So my question was more actively recruiting more reps.
Oh no, not yet. I'm still trying to get everything. Like I want a bigger mailing list. I want to get more direct connections before I first go for it. Like,
okay, it might be a good idea to start doing that a little bit, maybe like 5 messages a day. It doesn't take too long. You know, you already know someone, they're at a certain stage, you think there's synergy, they might be a good recruit potentially. There's no harm in sending those messages.
yeah.
Okay. If you want me to help you, if you want me to help you personally, like one-to-one, all you have to do is just pick up the phone and give me a call. Okay. Then I can actually physically show you what I do. All I do is send these messages. That's all I do. And then people, when they reply back, I just take them through like the grow model and understand what is it their pain points are. And if I can help them, in some cases I can, in some cases you can't help people. Okay. Yeah. In fact, one I came across was, you know what? I leave it to God. That's the kind of person you can't help. Okay. Because they leave everything to God. God, unfortunately, is too busy to help them. Okay. So, so there are some people you'll just never be able to help. Okay. But others you can in some or the other way. That's all it is. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions? Fantastic. I'm actually going to stop recording and then I will continue for a bit. Thank you for watching, guys.